Hi everybody! Today I want to show you how to make honeysuckle jelly. My husband came home from work the other day and said that one of his friend's daughter had made honeysuckle jelly over the weekend. And I was like, what's honeysuckle jelly? I never heard of it. Well, I have so much honeysuckle that it really wouldn't hurt me to make honeysuckle jelly. So I was like, I've got to try this. I said, how do you make this stuff? He said, Google it. So I Googled it. And oh my goodness, I love how easy it is. Now, this is the first time that I ever made honeysuckle jelly. So I'm doing this with you. And you're going to see any kind of mistakes or anything that I make as I'm making it. And that way I could talk you through any of the bumps that I run into, and maybe you won't make the same mistakes. So I made regular honeysuckle jelly and I made strawberry honeysuckle jelly. Today's shout out goes to Rachel Bailey, and she asked you to have a canned food because that would be a cool video. I'm gonna make it as cool as Easy Me World could do it. Thank you so much for your suggestion. Here we go! Here are the things that you will need. Please check the link below for the details to this recipe. The first thing I want to show you is all of the sweet nectar that each blossom provides. This is what will make your honeysuckle jelly so awesomely delicious. Down at the bottom of my driveway I have more honeysuckle than I know what to do with. And that's where we're going to get our honeysuckle today. It is suggested to pick your blossoms in the morning or in the evening when the aroma is the strongest. The recipe that I am doing calls for 4 cups of honeysuckles, and I'm going to use this cup because it's 4 cups, and I'm going to pack them in there pretty tight, but I don't want to smush them. And then I'll pour them in this because I want to do 2 batches, so that's 8 cups. Avoid picking the blooms that are dark yellow or shriveled because they may give off a bitter taste. Now that I collected all of my honeysuckle, it is time for the next step, and that is to add water. You take your honeysuckle and you pour it into a stainless steel container or a glass container. I have a stainless steel. And the recipe calls for 5 cups of cool water. In the directions it says to use a plate to push your flowers down into the water. But I have a stainless steel pot that's smaller than the one I'm using, and I'm just going to use the lid to that pot to push down my flowers. Honeysuckle jelly could be done a million ways, obviously, because when I was looking up recipes, they're done differently on every recipe. I chose this recipe because it was the easiest, and I like the fact that they use the powdered pectin, which is what I have. I don't have the liquid pectin, and a lot of them call for the liquid. So I'm going to tweak this just a little bit by putting my water and flowers in the refrigerator, because this recipe calls for letting it set it out on the counter. And my thing is if I'm unable to get to make my jelly tomorrow, I know that my flowers and water are going to be just fine. Because I have seen other recipes where they have left their flowers and water in the refrigerator for up to 3 days. So I think that is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to put it in there just in case. A lot of recipes called for clipping off the green tips of each blossom. Because I adore easy, my recipe didn't call for it. Periodically, I would use my spoon to lightly press the blossoms down. I also let my blossoms sit in the water for an extra day to be sure all the nectar was extracted into the water. I bought fresh strawberries the week before, but I did not have time to make jam, so I froze all of them. When I decided to do honeysuckle jelly, I wanted to make one of my batches with strawberry nectar. I cut a couple of cups of strawberries into small pieces and put them into about 3 cups of water. I simmered them on the stove until the juices from the strawberries made a wonderful strawberry liquid. When it was cool, I put a lid on the pot and put it in the refrigerator until I was ready to make my jelly. For the next step, I use a large strainer with a piece of cheesecloth placed inside of it to strain my honeysuckle juice into another pot. I used a rubber band around the top to hold the cheesecloth in place while I poured. For each batch of jelly, you will need to prepare 3 pint-sized jars.
or 1 dozen 4-ounce jars. I washed and boiled my jars before using them. You will also need a half a teaspoon of unsalted butter, sugar, fresh lemon juice, a dash of cinnamon, and your Sure Gel pectin. Be sure to follow the specific directions for the type of pectin you have. The next thing I do is strain the juices from my strawberries and discard what is left of the berries. Then I strain my honeysuckles. Now that all of my juices are strained, it is time to measure out the liquid for each batch of jelly. Each batch calls for 4½ cups of juice. I got about 2 cups of juice for my strawberries, and I mixed 2½ cups of honeysuckle juice to equal 4½ cups for my strawberry honeysuckle jelly. I use exactly 4½ cups of honeysuckle juice for my first batch, which is my regular honeysuckle jelly. I add the Sure Gel fruit pectin and 1/4 cup of sugar. Over medium-high heat, stir until pectin and sugar are fully incorporated, stirring often. Add butter and bring mixture to a rolling boil that cannot be stirred down. When at a full bubble, add lemon juice, cinnamon, and sugar. Stir until mix returns to a full boil. Use your timer to count down 1 minute at a full boil. Then remove your pot from the heat. Now I get the jars, bands, and lids out of the boiling water that I will need for this batch of jelly. I set them on a towel so they are easy to grab as I pour my jelly mixture in them. I use a jelly jar funnel to make pouring the mixture into the jars easy. I use a towel or pot holder to hold my jars firmly as I pour my jelly into the jars. I also use a large ladle. Now I get a canning lid that I just took out of the boiling water and place it on the top of my jar. And I hand tighten the band onto the jar with a towel like this. When all my jars are full, I use my jar gripper and carefully place the jelly jars into the boiling water and set my timer for 10 minutes. After your jelly jars boil for 10 minutes, turn the heat off and let your jelly set in the water for another 5 minutes. Then I remove the jelly from the water and set them onto a towel to cool. When you hear that famous pop, you know your jar is sealed.
Okay, I woke up this morning to check on my jelly and it didn't gel. But I didn't panic. I read online where some people who have made jelly redid their gelling process, and that's what I'm going to do. Now I'm going to share with you some awesome information that I found online, just in case you have the same problem I did with getting it to gel.
I found this site called pickyourown.org that was a big help to me. I thought this site would be wonderfully useful to you too if you ever run into any kind of canning questions. Generally speaking, if your jam doesn't firm up, you were short in pectin, sugar, or acidity, or didn't get a hard boil. We will correct that when we remake the jam or jelly. It is my guess that my jelly did not firm up because I used Sure Gel that was in the yellow box, when I should have used the Sure Gel in the pink box, which calls for less sugar.
I'm going to leave a link down below so that you can go to the site where I got all this information from. So go check it out.
I learned so much about making jelly by doing this video. I can't wait to try making jelly again because I know that the more I do it, the better I will get at it. I am so grateful for all the helpful sites that helped me through this process. The lesson that I learned by making this jelly is to stay calm, go with the flow, and just have fun. Breathe, relax, and allow is what Easy World is all about. It all turned out perfectly in the end, and my jelly gelled awesomely. I am so glad that my jelly gelled. Now I can eat it. Oh, it's so good. Like always, I hope this video inspires you to try something new. And even if it doesn't turn out the way you expect it, perhaps you will find something new that you never knew you enjoyed unless you gave it a try. I would love to hear from you if you have any helpful tips that will help me with my future jelly. I would love to try making hot pepper jelly this summer, and maybe I will make a video on that too. Don't forget to check out our blog page and our Facebook page. And I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye! I made strawberry honey. You tried to say that. What? What's going on? I hope that this video
job. You done good.
Yeah, look at him. So cute.
He's calm.
You're a good fishy, you are. I love to catch me a good bass.
Good job, Dylan. Mom caught a tree.
I got it.